August 25th, 2020. Location: Belgian New Fruit Wharf 206, Port of Antwerp. The vessel Nave Andromeda that set sail from Guayaquil, Ecuador is finally docked after a long journey. One man in particular has kept a very close eye on this vessel, anxiously waiting for it to arrive, so he could have his precious cargo collected by his soldiers. It was finally go time. But things unfortunately don't always go as planned. Vincent de B. There's a problem. Someone is standing in front of the container. El Presidente. Can't you make sure that car drives away? You're security. I will pay you extra for it. Vincent de B. Corrupt security guard. I will check it soon. If that's an emergency security guard, it's someone who has to look out for something specific. I can't do anything about that, but I will check it out. El Presidente. Or we'll take him hostage. I have a SWAT team ready. They will take him out professionally, but I'd rather have you move him. Vincent de B. Corrupt security guard. I totally understand. I have to see what his task is first. I have to stay under the radar myself too and be professional. I will let you guys know more about the situation once I get there. There are a lot of cameras. If there's stress, a lot of blue police will come, and nobody wants that. We want everything to go smooth. El Presidente. Great, sir. Please let me know immediately. You might be wondering what these messages are all about. Stick with me. Vincent de B. Bad news. I checked what the guy is doing. His assignment is to stay near the ship at all times due to corona on board. He can't move, and I can't tell him what to do. El Presidente. Bring him food and drinks or something. Make him feel like a king and make him move. Vincent de B. Okay, I will check it again in a minute. But if that's his assignment, I really can't do anything about it. After this message, several hours go by. At this point, the encrypted message's user El Presidente was starting to lose his patience. El Presidente. Okay, you know what? Make sure you get away. I will send my troops in to do the work right now. Then the entire situation on the Belgian New Fruit Wharf changed in a split second. At around 1:15 in the night, 5 masked men ran towards the car and pulled the emergency guard out of his car, beating him and trying to put a bag over his head. 2 of the 5 men tried to force the guard into an empty container nearby, while the other 3 forced entry into a specific container and start cutting the aluminium floor looking for their precious cargo. Vincent de B. Corrupt security guard. I've managed to turn off a camera in the area. Your advantage. At the moment, everything is safe. El Presidente. Thanks. Keep paying attention. They're opening the floor at the moment. Keep an eye out if something is coming. Less than half an hour later, there's panic. Flashing lights are entering the wharf, and the men aren't done yet. Remember the security guard they tried to lock in the container? Well, he managed to escape his kidnappers and jumped into the water nearby. After swimming in the cold water for over 30 minutes, he managed to alert the captain of a ship, who called the police. The mission was aborted, and all 5 men fled the scene. Upon inspecting the container, police found the aluminium floor cut halfway open. Underneath it, 476 kilos of coke. A few meters from the container, police find a puddle of blood, later discovered to be the blood of the emergency guard they beat up and tried to kidnap. So, who was behind this username El Presidente that didn't hesitate to use serious violence the minute things weren't going his way? El Presidente is none other than the Netherlands' most wanted Jos Leijdekkers. To get a better understanding of whom this man is, we will go all the way back to his birth year, 1991. Jos was born near Breda, a lovely city in the Netherlands. At a young age, Jos started to get himself in trouble. He had to switch schools frequently, and as he grew older, it seemingly only got worse. He found himself in trouble with the police a bit too often. According to rumours, his dad was allegedly involved in the underworld and had good contacts in the ports of Antwerp and Rotterdam, connections his young son would later build upon. Fast forward to the 9th of August 2008. Jos, who was just 17 at the time, and a group of friends got into an argument with another man. It eventually erupted into a fist fight, and Jos, together with his friends, gave the guy a serious beating. Police rushed to the scene and managed to arrest the majority of the group, including Jos. He was ultimately sentenced to 27 days of juvenile detention and a conditional 40 hours of community service. During an evaluation of his psyche, a psychologist described Jos as someone who talks a lot in a demanding manner and has a strong urge to always be right, and sure does not refrain from using violence. His self-reflection was deemed to be very limited. 3 years later, in 2011, Jos got into another argument during a night out in The Hague, the Netherlands. This time, it was regarding a bar stool. The argument got so heated that out of nowhere, Jos pulled out a converted semi-auto alarm pistol and struck the other man 2 times. The brother of the man he just struck came to help. Jos relentlessly fired at him too, and the brother was luckily only grazed by a bullet. After fleeing the scene, Jos was found by a police dog hiding in someone's garden. Police arrested him, and he was eventually sentenced to 6 years in prison. He was just 19 at the time of the incident. One of the most important objectives of giving criminals a prison sentence is to increase the inmate's chances of a successful return to society, for example, through education, work experience, or therapy. However, for some inmates, prison is detrimental. Instead of bettering themselves, they actually get worse. They come in contact with fellow criminals and expand their network. Once out of prison, former inmates get together again and resume their criminal journey. Jos gained very valuable contacts while in prison. One of them was Piet Wortel, a man whom he allegedly met in 2014. Piet Wortel is a notorious figure in the Dutch underworld that is involved in several big cases regarding drug smuggling and money laundering. I will make a separate video about him in the future too. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, it's going to be a good one. After serving 4 years and having gained valuable contacts, Jos was released, and that's when his criminal career took off. Jos slowly but surely started getting involved in the drug trade, allegedly through the contacts of his father and the contacts he made while in prison. He would become one of the young rising stars in the Dutch drug trade and quickly made a fortune and a name for himself, a name that would ring bells and frighten many, saying, "Don't joke around with Bolle Jos," another alias of his. There are allegedly plenty of reasons not to joke around with him. One of the most notable is the disappearance of Naima Gilal. Naima was known as the Dutch godmother of coke, a woman in her 50s that starred among the top drug smugglers of the Netherlands. It's very rare that a woman holds such an important spot in the drug trade, but Naima managed to do so for several years, until the 20th of October 2019. That day, she stepped into a black Volkswagen Polo near her luxury apartment in Amsterdam. According to rumours and police investigation, Jos Leijdekkers summoned her because she was to blame for a busted shipment of cocaine in the port of Antwerp he had invested in heavily. Jos suspected foul play from Naima. In her turn, Naima thought she could talk her way out of it, but unfortunately, that was absolutely not the case. After that 20th of October 2019, nobody has heard of her or seen her ever again. Police investigation led to some of her clothes and a handbag being found in the exact same port dock where the cocaine bust had taken place. Even more surprisingly, and kind of horrific, is that there have been several pictures found on Ridouan Taghi's phone of Naima's dismembered body. Apparently, those pictures had been shared among the top of the underworld. Till this day, 5 years later, Jos still remains the top suspect in this case. But that is not the only relentless thing Jos is being tied to. The Dutch ex-Minister of Justice and Safety has been heavily guarded 24/7 for some years due to serious threats on his life coming from the underworld. An informant had attributed this threat to none other than Jos. Lastly, Jos is also tied to the death of the 55-year-old Belgian, Stefan Bohaerts. Bohaerts was the owner of a container company who had serious financial problems. Authorities think that he entered the drug trade to get rid of his financial difficulties, but something ended up going wrong, and he had to pay with his life. Members of the motor club Carlo Vago have been prosecuted for this hit. According to rumours in Antwerp, they operated on behalf of Jos. Like I said, there are plenty of reasons not to joke around with Jos Leijdekkers, though it must be said that he has not been prosecuted in any of these cases. Let's go back to his drug dealing avenues again. As the years went by, Jos rapidly made big steps in the underworld. Everything got bigger and better. His network, his list of corrupt customs officers, the shipments itself, and the money he made. Jos frequently set up large cocaine shipments from South America to the ports of Rotterdam and Antwerp. He truly seemed unstoppable. People allegedly gladly worked for him because he took good care of them and paid them very well. Dutch police started to realize that they had to take drastic measures to stop his rise. Up until early 2022, Jos was largely unknown to the public. But on the 3rd of May 2022, that all changed.
As of today, a new name has been added to the National Investigation List. The tipster who ensures that Jos Leijdekkers can be apprehended can expect a high reward of €75,000.
Just like that, Jos became known to the broader public of the Netherlands. His name made all headlines in the newspapers and on television for days on end. Who was this new top criminal? Police deemed him to be a top priority and put a reward on his head of €75,000. During this time, he obviously was not hiding in the Netherlands anymore. Rumours were he was hiding all over the place. Some suggested he lived in Dubai, some in South America, and some said he was located in Turkey. With the money Jos made, he could be anywhere, though that last location may have been the most accurate. There are several good reasons as to why authorities strongly think he is in Turkey. As part of the investigation into Jos, his family members have been under investigation too. During these investigations, authorities suspect that his mother and sister have been visiting Jos in Turkey. Furthermore, associates of his have also regularly been spotted in Turkey. A Dutch crime journalist suggests that he has been arrested multiple times in Turkey, but got himself released after paying millions. The journalist also added that he currently pays corrupt government officials in Turkey €1 million per week for his freedom. A lot of money. At the end of January 2023, police conducted multiple raids in homes and offices in the Netherlands that belonged to the family of Jos. The police suspected them of accepting large amounts of cash, expensive gifts such as jewellery and watches, designer handbags and more, knowing that these were paid for with drug money. During the raids, police seized all those luxury items and enormous amounts of cash. However, they also seized phones, USB sticks, computers and cameras in the hopes of finding information leading to Jos. His mother and sister were subsequently arrested on the suspicion of money laundering. They were released shortly after, but will be prosecuted later on. One thing became clear. The hunt for Bolle Jos was in full effect, and not even his family members were safe anymore. To add even more pressure, during an episode on the 14th of March 2023 of Opsporing Verzocht, it was announced that the tip that would lead to Jos's arrest would be rewarded with a record amount of €200,000 instead of €75,000. For comparison, Ridouan Taghi and Said Razouki both had €100,000 on their head, both being the most wanted Dutch criminals at that time. Jos was now on the national most wanted list, Interpol's most wanted list. His family was being observed, and he now had a bounty of €200,000 on his head. A week later, police announced that they had received 30 tips, but did not tell how useful they were, as they did not want to give any insight into their ongoing investigation. Less than 10 days later, Jos, his father, Jos Leijdekkers Sr., was arrested in Rotterdam during a planned traffic control in which the police specifically targeted people who they assumed to be involved in criminality. Police found a jammer in his car that blocked phone and GPS signals. He was arrested and released shortly after. He will be charged for money laundering as well, just like Jos's mother and sister. Police seized 2 expensive watches worth €140,000 in total, as those were allegedly paid for by drug money his son earned. Lawyer Guy Vesky, son of Ines Vesky, who represents Jos Leijdekkers Jr. and the rest of the family, said that the family is being used as bait and pressured in the hopes of finding Jos. Stay with me, because just 4 days later, on the 27th of March, a major criminal case started in Liège, Belgium, against Jos and 45 other fellow suspects. The case, called Farmer, took years of research. It deemed Jos to be the boss of an international crime organization that was responsible for at least one shipment of 1,175 kilos in the port of Rotterdam, and a shipment of 793 kilos in the port of Antwerp. During organized raids in Wallonia, police found a professional-built room specifically designed to process and package coke, as well as a warehouse in which the kilos were stashed. Belgian prosecutors estimate that the group is responsible for smuggling at least 15,000 kilos. However, for now, they lack evidence to back it up. As you may have already guessed, Jos was not attending the trial and will be sentenced in absentia. Him not being present in court does make you think, is Jos untouchable in Turkey? Despite being internationally wanted, it seems as if he doesn't have to fear anything being in Turkey. In early June 2023, Turkish police arrested 23 suspects as part of a big operation against drug trafficking. Interestingly enough, all of them were linked to Jos, and one was actually Jos's brother-in-law. 40 million euros worth of assets were seized, and another 4 million euros worth of watches, jewellery, and a golden weapon. This operation has been another serious blow to Jos's organisation. However, for all that has been disclosed, no sign of Jos at all. After the arrest of Jos's sister, mother and father, his brother was next. On the 27th of December 2023, Turkish police arrested the brother in an undisclosed city. He was arrested on the suspicion of money laundering and helping a criminal organisation. Once again, no sign of Jos. With all that has been happening regarding Jos Leijdekkers and his criminal organisation, it was only a matter of time before more trials against him started to take place. Despite always denying any involvement in the underworld, Jos has never turned up to a court hearing to plead his innocence. As of the time of writing this, June 2024, Jos is close to being prosecuted in absentia to a list of serious crimes. He will be prosecuted for large-scale drug smuggling of 6 shipments worth thousands of kilos, but also because of ordering a hit. And no, not the hit of Naima Jilal we have covered earlier in this story. The hit on a fellow criminal called Robin van Ouwerkerk. In early 2020, Leijdekkers allegedly ordered the murder via his encrypted phone. The plan eventually did not go through. Robin was incurably ill and died of cancer in June 2022. More on Robin in a separate video. He has a very interesting story too. Surprisingly, Jos will not be prosecuted for the hit on Naima Jilal. Just yet though. Indications that he might be involved in her disappearance are still there, but they are not considered strong enough for a criminal case at this time. The investigation into her disappearance is not yet complete, explained a spokesman for the Public Prosecutor's Office. An expert has said, if he ever gets caught, he will be looking at a life sentence. Hence, he's trying his very best to stay out of the hands of the police at all costs. Despite the pressure increasing heavily, he is still successful in doing so thus far, and he remains the most wanted criminal of the Netherlands. Want to do me a small favour? Please leave a comment, a like, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I have many more videos coming soon.